Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the special meeting of the Liquor Control Commission for Monday, September 16th. Please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Commissioner Brady? Here. Commissioner Here? Commissioner Lang?
Here.
Commissioner Vogel?
Here.
Commissioner Hein?
Here.
Commissioner Kruger? Present. Chairperson Argyris?
Here. Approval of the minutes for the special meeting of August 26, 2013.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Brady, second by Commissioner Hein. Roll call.
Commissioner Brady?
Yes.
Commissioner Here?
Yes.
Commissioner Lang?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Hein?
Yes.
Commissioner Kruger?
Yes.
Chairperson Argyris?
Yes. 5A, new business, Madam Clerk.
In consideration of a Class L liquor license for Lithuanian American Community Incorporated as Signature Flight Support, 1064 South Milwaukee Avenue. The event will take place on September 19th, 2013.
Thank you. Manager Svandos.
Thank you. As read, the event will take place on September 19th. For consideration of the board is the petitioner was not able to submit their request in time for a complete background check, so the commission should be aware of that when granting or considering this license.
So the condition would be what?
They're using a background check from the last event we had.
Which I believe was 2 years ago.
No, it was a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
I only have the information that was provided as part of the application.
Attorney Ferrillo?
Yes, if it was that recent, we can approve, provided that. Police departments, here it is. John, do you have any information relative to the signature last background check? I believe we did.
The last one was clear.
Was that of the principals? Yeah, of you? And what's your name, ma'am?
Cam Kavanaugh, signature.
Okay. Yeah, we can move forward based on the last one, given the timing.
Based on the timing of the last one. Okay.
Correct.
Entertain a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Here, second by? Second. Commissioner Hein. Roll call.
Commissioner Brady?
Yes.
Commissioner Here?
Yes.
Commissioner Lang?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Hein?
Yes.
Commissioner Kruger?
Yes.
Chairperson Argyris?
Yes. Before I ask for a motion to adjourn, could staff look into, again, maybe an M1A, something for special events? It seems like Signature, Priester, the church have come in here numerous times, have to go through the process. Maybe we can come up for 2014 for the Liquor Commission, that they pay a flat fee for 4 events a year based on staff knowing when those events are, instead of coming before the commission, going through all the paperwork again.
Well, we've done that with the Class L. We did that. We created a Class L.
But it seems like every time they're coming back for every event. She's right. I was at an event there a month ago.
Yeah, we can look into it. But
Please look
we have
at
to
it
be
again.
careful not to take the power away from this board.
It still has to get approval from staff based on,
Okay.
you know what I'm saying? They've been doing it.
Let me get on that.
Let's look into it. Motion to adjourn?
So move.
Motion by
Second.
Commissioner Here, second by Commissioner Kruger. Roll call.
Commissioner Brady?
Yes.
Commissioner Here?
Yes.
Commissioner Lang?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Hein?
Yes.
Commissioner Kruger?
Yes.
Chairperson Argyris?
Yes. The special meeting for Monday, September 16th, 2013 is now called to order. Roll call, please.
Trustee Brady?
Here.
Trustee Here?
Present.
Trustee Lang?
Here.
Trustee Vogel?
Here.
Trustee Hein?
Here.
Trustee Kruger?
Present.
President Argyris?
Here. Approval of the minutes for the special meeting of August 26, 2013.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Trustee Brady, second by Trustee Kruger. Roll call.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Here?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Hein?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
President Argyris?
Yes. Okay. Any changes to the agenda?
No, thank you.
Proclamations. Madam Clerk?
Linda Johnson Day, September 27, 2013. Linda Johnson has served the Village of Wheeling with enthusiasm and dedication for 23 years. Linda Johnson began her service to the Village of Wheeling on June 4, 1990, and has served in the capacity of office assistant, clerk typist with the Public Works Department from 1990 to 1992, secretary steno with the Community Development Department from 1992 to 2004, Administrative Secretary with the Engineering Department from 2004 to 2009, and Administrative Secretary with the Public Works Department from 2009 to 2013. Linda Johnson retires from the position of Administrative Secretary with the Public Works Department on September 27, 2013. Linda Johnson has served the village and Wheeling community with professionalism, integrity, and devotion. Linda Johnson has been instrumental to the Public Works Department in providing exceptional administrative and customer service. Linda Johnson's retirement is not the end of a career, but the beginning of a new one. Linda Johnson will indeed be missed, as she has proven over the years to be an invaluable member of the Village of Wheeling Public Works family. Dean Argyris, President of the Village of Wheeling, do hereby proclaim September 27, 2013 as Linda Johnson Day in the Village of Wheeling in recognition and appreciation of her many dedicated years of service to the community and Public Works Department, and wish her well in her future endeavors.
Congratulations. I want to share hello. I just want to share a short memory. The first village employee I met when I started Plan Commission was Johnson. Here was a guy that was going on the Plan Commission. Ken Brady was there, Terry was there, and the old timers. And I go to Linda, I go, what do I do? She goes, you're doing fine. I go, Linda, I need you. She goes, I'm here. Linda Johnson was always there at the Plan Commission. She was great. And I tell you, she was a workhorse for everything that we tried to do there. And she always had the answers. If she didn't have them, you found them for us. You kept me in check all those years and the rest of the commission, and you were just a great asset. You really were. And we're going to miss you. And everybody really cares about you, Linda. You've always been there for all of us, and we appreciate that. So, if you want to say.
It's been an unusual journey for me. I started in Public Works, and I can't thank Bob Gray enough for taking that chance with me and bringing me into the Village of Wheeling family. And then moving on after a short while to community development. That's where I thought I learned a lot, but maybe in the scheme of things, it's not that much. It's probably not the place to say this, but it's where occasionally the little girl in me would come out and play and have fun with my fellow workers, maybe a commissioner or two. In that time, that was a long time, another opportunity came up, and as much as I knew I disappointed Bob Gray by leaving, he wasn't here anymore. So I thought I would apply for another job in engineering. That was part of CD, so I was familiar with them, and thought I'd take a shot at it and see if maybe they'd bring me back. They did. So I'm kind of back in Public Works. And for all of the time I loved working with the commissioners, I think I knew I wanted to go back to where it all started. So I was kind of there. But then the day came where Tony became acting director, and I worked for him. So my heart said I've made it. I was back where I belonged. So I've gone full circle here in the Village of Wheeling. And I'm happy to have enjoyed working with all of staff and everyone else here and helping the community. Now I get to go home and help my family. So thank you, President Argyris, Dean, for the plaque, for recognizing my efforts. I do appreciate that. Thanks, everyone.
We're going to take about a 15-minute recess in honor of Linda. We have some cake and coffee for you so you can mingle with your guest here and entertain a motion for that.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by trustee Brady, second by trustee Kruger. Roll call.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Hare?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Hein?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
President Argyris?
Yes. About 15 minutes. Nelson on her.
I think their classes are staggered.
Okay.
Oh, really?
I have no idea.
All right, we're on.
Entertain a motion to reconvene.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by trustee Hare, second by trustee Vogel. Roll call.
Trustee Brady?
Here.
Trustee Here?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Hein?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
President Argyris?
Yes. Citizens' concerns and comments.
Members of the general public may address the board with concerns or comments regarding relevant issues. The person submitting a petition, concern, or other comments shall be allotted 5 minutes to present their points and should state their name and address into the record. Chris Nelson?
Hi, I'm Chris Nelson. I live at 29 Birch, Wheeling. And I had a pit bull attack on me about 3 weeks ago, and I was hoping to see what the village could do about enforcing stricter codes on pit bulls.
Go ahead.
The state law does not allow our codes to be breed specific. We have a code regarding dangerous or vicious animals. They're defined in the code as animals that attack either humans or other animals on more than one occasion. So there's nothing that we can do in terms of an ordinance strictly applicable to pit bulls, for example. If a particular animal fits the definition of a dangerous or vicious animal under our code, that animal can be impounded, and then there are procedures that are followed from there. So we'd have to get more details through the police department regarding this incident, and then we can apply our ordinance as it currently reads. Our ordinance was amended to comply with state law to remove all breed-specific application.
Okay, I did look up the ordinance in Addison, which is really very specific about vicious animals, vicious breeds. And why does Addison have something?
I can tell you, ma'am, I'm very aware of what the law reads, and I'm very confident that Addison, if they have restrictions against pit bulls, that ordinance is not in compliance with state law, and the Village of Wheelings is. We feel for your plight and your situation. We have a good ordinance on our books, and we're certainly willing to enforce our ordinance. So that's where things are.
Can I ask you, what is a resident to do when being charged by a pit bull? Is there any?
What is a resident? You're asking what a resident is to do when being charged by a pit
Right,
bull?
if you're out taking a walk for the evening and you're charged by a pit bull, you're pretty much.
I can't answer that question. I would certainly, it sounds like a horrible situation you were in. Everybody sympathizes with you. But we cannot have an ordinance that prohibits pit bulls. We have ordinances that prohibit vicious or dangerous animals. We have to determine if this animal that hurt you and your dog fits that definition. And then we can apply our ordinance. That's the structure of things. And that's the correct application of state law.
Okay, in my incidents, the dog wasn't seized, even though they did say it had its shots. But it was an attack, and why wasn't it impounded? I mean,
Again,
it
ma'am,
was an
you're bringing me
attack.
facts I have no information on. We have a police department that's prepared to take all the information and apply the ordinances correctly. So we have to gather the information, determine if this, I'll say it again for the third time, determine if this dog fits the definition of a vicious animal or a dangerous animal. If it does, we will take the next step. If it does not, we cannot take any further steps. So we will look into this for you. I assure you of that. No one is ignoring this serious situation, but we have laws and our codes that we have to apply fairly and correctly.
So then it's a state law.
Our
So
code,
everything has to be changed through the state.
our code complies with the state law. When the state law changed, and it changed 6, 7 years ago, maybe more, to say you cannot be breed-specific. That's something new. State changed their law and said that all communities must comply with this state law. We're home rule. In a lot of cases, home rule can make their own rules. That's a little different than the state, except where the state says home rule power is preempted, and the state has taken that position relative to breed-specific ordinances. But we will look into this very closely for you.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask a question real quick? Regarding leash law, if this dog or any type of dog, not just a pit bull, it could be any dog, I'm sorry. To me, it's the owner, not the dog. It really is. What laws do we have on the books right now to be more strict, to give more responsibility to the owners of those dogs?
We do have a leash law on the books that the police department can perhaps chime in on.
Chief?
708060, animals on leash. It is unlawful for an animal to use or be upon any public street, sidewalk, parkway, or public area within the village except when such animal is on leash controlled by the owner or his or her agent.
So...
Dogs are required to be on leash at all times in the public. It sounds like this dog was in the rear yard, correct me if I'm wrong, and got out while the owners were outside?
The owner said they made a mistake and didn't close the gate.
Yes, so it wasn't just roaming around. The dog was not on a leash. Our ordinance does require it to be on a leash.
And we ticket them if they don't?
We're in the process, yes.
3 weeks.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Anybody else? Mary, Pat, anybody? No?
Dean, I got one question.
Sure.
If I understood Attorney Furlow right, that there has to be 2 attacks? What did...
Let me read the section to you. What's the question?
I thought you said there had to be 2 attacks.
One attack doesn't make an animal a vicious or dangerous animal under our code, but let me...
Okay, again, is that our code, or is that a code that can be changed?
That particular section of the code can be amended. Would you like us to look into that?
Yes, I mean,
Okay. We will do that.
If I might, I totally agree with that. You know, this thing of pinning pit bulls as some sort of nasty dog is a little overreaction. I know a lot of other dogs are probably more vicious and attack people more than a pit bull does. You never hear of them. You know, you can have a Cocker Spaniel run out and bite somebody. Does that make it a vicious dog? Well, you know what? If a dog goes after somebody, it is a vicious dog. No doubt about it. Something should be done. People got to control their dogs. You just can't have a dog run out of a backyard and chew somebody up and say, well, you know, it was in front of his house. What do you want? I think we got to toughen that law up extremely.
All right, we'll look at that.
Please. Trustee Kruger?
I just have one question, and you may not know this, Chief Benson. Is the dog registered in the village? Does he have a tag?
The dog had tags, and they verified the rabies.
Fair enough. I too agree that no bad dogs, just bad owners. I own what could be construed as a vicious breed, and she is nothing but a clown in a Rottweiler suit. So it's really how they're raised and how they're cared for. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
That's it.
Okay. Staff reports? Sherry?
Good evening. I want to take this opportunity to invite everyone in the village to the Wheeling Pavilion Senior Center National Senior Center Month Open House and Services Fair. That will be held on September 25th, that's Wednesday, from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. at 199 North First Street. That is the Wheeling Pavilion Senior Center. During this event, we will have information from approximately 30 different organizations and vendors with information on transportation, housing, recreation, socialization, village and township services, and other services available for older adults. Also, as this is part of our National Senior Center Month celebration, we will have opportunities to enter into our free Senior Center Month raffle, where we'll be raffling off some great prizes. And so we'd like to again invite all of you and all of the residents to this event. That's September 25th, Wednesday from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the Wheeling Pavilion Senior Center. And if you'd like more information, please feel free to contact the center at 847-459-2670.
Thanks, Sherry. John?
Thank you, President Argyris. I'd like to take this opportunity to promote several events that are scheduled in the village to enhance the business climate in the village of Wheeling. First, we're hosting a workforce development and solutions seminar on Thursday, September 26th at 7:30 a.m. here in the village boardroom. As business owners, it's important to retain and cultivate a well-trained labor force, and this program will provide information from a panel of experts on placement, training, and retention of highly skilled labor. There's some information up on the screen about the event. It's going to be moderated by Illinois State Representative Elaine Nekritz, and it will have 4 expert panelists that will describe several programs and incentives that are available to area manufacturers to promote their workforce. And it's being sponsored by Dunkin' Donuts. It'll start at 7:30 a.m. and run to about 9 o'clock. It's going to be a very informative panel of experts. Secondly, we're hosting with the Chamber of Commerce a manufacturing conference and career expo that will take place on October 15th at Wheeling High School at 900 South Elmhurst Road. There is a link up on the screen where you can register for this event, either as a job seeker or an employer. It's being hosted by the village, as well as Wheeling High School and Medusa Consulting Group. It's a great way to coordinate employers with employees and to promote Wheeling and also all the great things that Wheeling High School is doing with their students and providing a career path for these young people. And this will bring employers and employees together. The third event is Restaurant Row Week 2013, which will run from November 29th to December 15th. So there's going to be 17 days of special offers from area restaurants to provide gourmet dining experiences and opportunities for free samples and tastings of the best restaurants that we have to offer in Wheeling. There's going to be information on our website as it becomes available. Also, the fourth event, the Taste of the Town. This will be held on December 12th at the Westin Wheeling. It's going to provide an exceptional evening with a holiday spirit of delectable food, select wines, craft beers, and presented by renowned restaurant operators in Wheeling. There'll be live music, cooking demonstrations from celebrity chefs. There's going to be a silent auction as well as exciting raffles. That's going to be at the Westin Hotel. It's going to be there's a $30 early bird registration, and the price goes up to about $35 after that. So these are some great events. We just wanted to have everybody get them on their calendar, and we hope that they can participate in these events. Thank you.
Thank you, John. And let's make sure we get that on the website and maybe on cable too. And maybe just put the location, the time, and date, and who to make the check out for the Taste of Wheeling on your brochure, so people know. Okay.
We'll do it, and there'll be more. There is information on the website now, and that's being updated as we add additional celebrity chefs and so forth. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Good job. Consent agenda, Madam Clerk.
All items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the village board and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member or citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered after all other agenda items.
Okay.
So moved.
Okay. Motion by Trustee Brady.
Second.
Second by Trustee Vogel. Roll call.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Here?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Hein?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
President Argyris?
Yes. Item 13, new business, Madam Clerk.
Item 13A, resolution authorizing the village president and village clerk to execute an agreement between the village and the Rotary Club of Wheeling, Illinois for the lease of village-owned property located at 99-101 Wolf Road, Wheeling, Illinois, for the operation of a food pantry.
Thank you. Director Herzog?
Good evening. You have before you the renewal of the lease with the Rotary Club of Wheeling for village-owned space at 101 North Wolf Road. The pantry's been there for the past 2 years, and this renewal of lease is for another 2 years, valid through September 2015. The Wheeling Food Pantry is a joint project between the Rotary Club of Wheeling, the Village of Wheeling, Omni Youth Services, School District 21, Wheeling High School, St. Joseph the Worker Catholic Church, and the Greater Chicago Food Depository. During the past year, 404 unduplicated families have been served by the pantry with 2,140 bags of food, or 25,000 pounds of food have been distributed, and that's within the past year. 91% of the families utilizing the pantry are Wheeling residents, with the rest are made up of families of students of either District 21 schools or Wheeling High School. Village social service staff are at the pantry on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 1 to 5 to provide information and referral, as well as case management to residents in need. Job openings, job training, and educational information, as well as other social service resources, are often shared with pantry residents. The pantry is always looking for donations of non-perishable food. These donations can be dropped off at the pantry Monday through Friday from 1 to 4, or at Village Hall, the Wheeling Police Department, or the Wheeling Pavilion Senior Center, where collection bins are located.
Thank you. Questions?
Mr. President, Madam President. Sorry.
Go ahead, dear.
Sherry, besides this food pantry, where's the next nearest food pantry in the area?
The nearest food pantry in the area would be the Wheeling Township Food Pantry,
Yes.
located in Arlington Heights.
So Prospect Heights doesn't have one?
There is one with, I believe with St. Alphonsus, but as the boundaries are drawn differently for different parishes, it depends on where you live in town as far as being able to utilize those pantries. So the nearest one that is open to all Wheeling residents would be the Wheeling Township Food Pantry in Arlington Heights.
The reason I say that is because you've included 21 in that, and most of those families come from the Prospect Heights area as well. And I was just wondering how Prospect Heights could assist us in this venture, since we're probably taking care of maybe 10% of the people that have come to the food pantry.
Well, part of the reason that, well, the only reason that students from District 21 that don't live in the Village of Wheeling participate in this food pantry is that the different District 21 schools do a food drive every month, and that food is then brought to the pantry to be distributed. So as a partner of the food pantry, that's how the residents who are not, or the families that are not residents of the village utilize it, because the school district brings that in. We can definitely approach St. Alphonsus and ask them if they're willing to assist our pantry as well.
Because I appreciate what you're doing, and I think there's such a need for it, but I'm thinking that other communities should also get on board as well. And that's my point.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Entertain a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by trustee Vogel, second by trustee Here. Roll call.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Here?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Hein?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
President Argyris?
Yes. 13B.
13B has got two resolutions authorizing the renewal of tree trimming program contracts. B1 is a resolution approving a one-year renewal contract with Trees R Us Incorporated for the year 2013 annual Parkway tree trimming program, and Resolution B2 is approving a one-year renewal contract with the Clean Cut Tree Service for the year 2013 annual creek tree trimming and brush clearing program.
Thank you. Director Stavros?
Thank you, President Argyris. These are our annual contracts that we have yearly. They come up, it's called a yearly contract, even though it's only for like the last 3 months of the year, but it is for the year 2013. Both these contracts, these contracts were bid out last year. Contractor was a little bitter, and he kept his prices the same. And we're asking for, we had a renewal clause in these contracts, and we're asking for these to be renewed for this year.
Question? Motion on 13B1?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Vogel, second by trustee Lang. Roll call.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Hare?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Hein?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
President Argyris?
Yes. 13B2. Any questions?
So moved.
Motion by
Second.
trustee Brady, second by trustee Vogel. Roll call.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Hare?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Hein?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
President Argyris?
Yes. 13C.
Also has two resolutions accepting and approving agreements relative to federal participation for Phase 2 preliminary engineering service for the Jeffrey Avenue Bridge Replacement Project. C1 is accepting and approving a local agency agreement for federal participation for Phase 2 preliminary engineering with the Illinois Department of Transportation for the Jeffrey Avenue Bridge Replacement. And item C2 is resolution accepting and approving Phase 2 preliminary engineering service agreement for federal participation with CIORBA Group Incorporated for the Jeffrey Avenue Bridge Replacement Project.
Thank you. Director Janik?
Thank you, President Argyris. These two resolutions concern the bridge at Jeffrey Avenue. The first resolution is board approval, board agreeing to the requirements under the federal participation relative to a contract such as this. And the second resolution is agreeing to the engineering proposal for Phase 2 engineering for the bridge itself.
Questions? Entertain a motion. Trustee Hein, second by.
Second.
Trustee Krueger, roll call.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Hare?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Hein?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
President Argyris?
Yes. 13C2. Mr. Janik?
This is the proposal from CIORBA Group for the Phase 2 engineering, agreeing to the federal participation resolution just now allows the village to pay 20% of the cost of the Phase 2 engineering, which is approximately $21,000. The entire contract is worth approximately $108,000.
I just got one question. Why would Baxter Woodman not want to decline to bid on Phase 2 of the engineering?
Baxter and Woodman, specifically Baxter and Woodman had took issue with some of our requirements relative to our contract as well as our insurance requirements.
Okay.
Question.
Trustee Brady?
When is this bridge going to go in? We've been talking about it for over a year.
We're hoping that the Phase 2 design will be finished possibly this year, and we're hoping that perhaps the representative from CIORBA could talk about this if you'd like, but we're hoping that late next year is when we could start construction on the bridge.
All of this for a two-lane bridge?
Very complicated process relative to IDOT and replacing a bridge that's under their jurisdiction. Wetland studies and various other requirements, and requirements such as us coming back to you for federal participation again. Just a lot of hurdles that we've had to go through relative to this bridge.
It's ridiculous. Anyway, okay.
Just like the Hawthorne Bridge.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
So moved. So moved.
Trustee Lang, second by.
Second.
Trustee Brady, roll call.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Hare?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Hein?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
President Urgis?
Yes. 13D.
Resolution waiving competitive bidding and accepting a proposal from Huger Engineering LLC for consulting services for the Jackson Drive roadway improvements.
Director Janik.
Jackson Drive is slated for a resurfacing and/or reconstruction in next year's CIP. This contract proposal is for Hager Engineering to prepare 2 to 3 various ways of reconstructing or altering Jackson Drive. As you know, Jackson Drive is one of the few streets in the village that during flooding periods is covered and is impassable to various types of vehicles. This contract includes extensive surveying work, more extensive surveying work than we usually do on roadway projects because of this.
Questions?
I have a number of
Go ahead.
Mark, thanks. My first question is, how confident are you with Hager Engineering? You're asking us to waive competitive bidding on this project, and I need to hear why that's okay.
Hager Engineering, we publicly bid out the roadway design projects as well as various other design projects for this year's MFT. Hager won that bid. We are requesting for a waiver of competitive bidding in this particular case because Hager has repeatedly come through as a low bid choice, whether on RFPs or on public bid projects, and they've also done very good work relative to engineering. We don't see a need for this particular contract to go out for public bid.
Okay, I'm all for having a new set of eyes on an old problem, so that's good. My second question is, will this engineering address the existing overland stormwater issues on Jackson Drive? My concern is that we're going to spend upwards of $36,700 on engineering. We're going to spend another amount on the actual resurfacing or reconstruction. I'm not sure what the study will produce. And then perhaps it might break down or wash away during next year's 100-year rain. I know that's a little extreme, but you know where I'm getting at. I'm afraid we're putting the cart before the horse with issues of water on Jackson Drive, and then we're going to go and fix a street that floods.
In our opinion, staff's opinion, Jackson Drive is going to have to be elevated in some parts no matter what the overall flow solution is for this area. So the work that Hager, or that we're proposing the board approve tonight, some of that work is going to have to be done no matter what. If we were we're trying to find a solution for the global issue of flooding in the Jackson Drive area, but as I mentioned, Jackson Drive is going to have to be worked on no matter what. If Jackson Drive is altered more than just resurfacing, if the elevation, the profile is changed, water will, adequate culverts will be allowed, will be part of the construction of the roadway to allow water to flow from one side to the other. It won't create a dam, for instance. Right now, water flows over Jackson Drive sometimes, and it's important for us to get emergency vehicles down Jackson Drive. That's what this project is going to, or this design is going to reveal. We will then make a determination as to which alternative is the best, and that will fit in with future improvements for stormwater as well.
Thank you. Next question. Why does this engineering need to be done now?
The roadway is slated for improvement next year. We have money in our budget right now. We want to get as much design done the year before as we can so that we can bid projects out and find out how much they're going to cost if they're within our budget for next year.
Okay. These next couple questions are really for citizens' education. Has the Village of Wheeling ever resurfaced or reconstructed Jackson Drive since annexation in 2003?
I believe that we have done some minor repairs to Jackson Drive, but I know that we have not done any resurfacing to Jackson Drive since it was annexed. The last time Jackson Drive was improved, I believe it was 1.5 to 2 inches of blacktop that was put down by the Wheeling Township, probably early to mid-90s.
Yeah, that's a long time. I know I was really small riding a silly bike the last time I remember fresh asphalt. Ultimately, and thank you for all your answers, I appreciate that. I'm just trying to illustrate that ultimately I'm in the it's about time camp on this topic, especially when I know that, you know, some areas of the village have been worked on more often in a shorter period of time, but really not without serious attention being paid to the overland stormwater issues that exist there. I just don't want to see us spending money on engineering that perhaps will break down in a short period of time after the many 100-year floods that we get in one spring season. So, thank you, I'm finished.
Thank you. Trustee Heim? Thank you. I don't know if we're putting the cart before the horse here or not. I need to have some questions answered just for my own clarification. We're asking that a topo be done on 40 feet on both sides of that road, all the way from Hints Road to the very end, which is approximately 2,600 feet or so. There's a great possibility that those elevations are going to change. The topography of that road is going to change depending on the severity of the flood control issues that we have over there. Have we not spent some money already on flood control issues and some engineering over there relative to flooding that would help give some of these clarifications? Why are we asking for 40 feet on each side of that road and then taking benchmarks at the footings of each one of those primary places all the way down if we're not getting ready to do a flood control measure? And what have we done up to this point? I don't like to spend $26,000 or $36,000 if we don't have to, but I know it's important that we have the right engineering. And wasn't Chris Burke involved in this thing at one time?
Well, let me answer the first question. The reason why the surveying work, 45 or 40 feet on each side of the road, we're trying to, what that's going to reveal is the foundation elevation of each house. And we have to make sure that when the road, if the road is, that if the profile is raised, if the profile is changed, we have to make sure that the road is not going to affect any water that might hit that road and affect any of the houses. So it's important for us to know what the elevation is on each side of the road before there's any kind of consideration for changing the profile. We know that the road gets covered by water, and we know that we don't want to affect any of the houses by raising the road up. So surveying needs to be done, which has not been done previously, to make sure that the alternatives are going to reflect rational engineering. Now, Chris Burke has been involved in numerous flood studies in the area, but they have not been involved in detailed engineering along Jackson Drive. They've been involved in engineering with flows coming from Lakeside Villas and from the west, as well as going toward the east to Longtree Basin. But as far as I know, there hasn't been a real detailed engineering along Jackson Drive since it's been annexed.
And this was bid out?
This was not bid out. This particular contract was not bid out.
Well, this is going to be a long project and everything, and I would assume that we should be working with one engineer in that area to tie in not only the road improvements, but the engineering that has to be done for the mitigation and all that stuff over there. It's a big project, and this is more than just surfacing here. I would like this to go out for bid and to see if we have anything that is going to be, that we've already done. It seems like we spent a lot of money over there, and we're just adding something to it. I for one, cannot see doing a topo and getting every 50 feet. That's not for a road bed. That's
that's for extensive engineering all the way down the line. So it should be a project that starts with somebody and ends with somebody that knows the issues. And there's too much gray area in this particular item, because depending on what we do with that road, it's going to change the topography all over the place over there. And we don't still know what we're going to be doing as far as retention. And as far as I'm concerned, retention over that area and a flood control program is more important than that road right now, because it's got to be all done together. And I don't know if we're tying this thing together the way it should be. I'm not in favor of this thing going out the way it is.
Thank you. Anybody else? Trustee here?
I concur with some of the questions that were asked and answered. Thank you. But Mark, how long before a more comprehensive plan for flooding, how long do you anticipate for this entire thing to come together with this regional effort that's underway over there?
I understand where Trustee Hines is going. Unfortunately, the answer for detention, water flows in this area, solutions to getting rid of water and solutions for flooding is a extremely complex and very expensive undertaking. This contract really, I mean, it has to do with flooding in some respects, trying to get a road out from under floodwaters that sometimes impede cars. Is not for a total solution relative to water flow, though. I think that we've brought information to the board before about how expensive it is to solve that problem in this area, given the amount of water that flows from the west. This contract would be providing anybody who did that study in the future, whether it be Burke or somebody else. But it certainly is my recommendation that this proposal goes forward, because it is going to provide some information, some important information about where these houses are at relative to the roadway that any engineer in the future is going to need.
Thank you.
Trustee Brady, anything?
This is tough, because one of the things that we're inevitably going to need is engineering on all of our problem areas in town as we move forward on our flood utility program and funding. We're going to have to know by section what are priority items. Is Jackson Drive flooding a priority? Is Dunhurst flooding a priority? In many other areas in the town. And the only way you can do this, and coupled with that, we're going to have engineering to propose the fixes so that we can put price tags on these things and know how to pick and choose as time goes on, and we go out and ask for grants to get this work done. Eventually, it's going to have to be done. To do it now, and this could be complicated, because if you're going to displace water by raising the roadbed up, that's going to make the water higher. And, yeah, it's going to have to be looked at. You just can't raise that road up and then not expect something to go away. People that drive down that road that have certain cars can't get out when it's flooded. And raising the road up would certainly help that problem. Would it cause other problems? I don't know. The only way we can do it is let an engineering company take a look at it. Do we have to spend a lot of money? I don't know. I'm kind of undecided on this. We have to do it. Eventually, we're going to have to do it. Even if this wasn't done. Why Jackson Drive is on the books for resurfacing in the first place when we have a serious problem there is probably the question. Can Jackson Drive pavement hold up for another year? I haven't looked at it in that light.
Trustee Lang, anything?
Well,
What would a full-blown, Mark, what would a full-blown study for this, I mean, all the engineering for future work and so on, I mean, in comparison to this 36.7 that we're talking, is there something that we can use to compare the two? And if we had them both in front of us at this point, I mean, it might give us a better idea of down the road what it's going to cost to really fix that problem. Is anyone prepared at this point to be able to get into it that deep?
No, because whatever answer you might choose for a Jackson Drive area could include, for instance, a detention basin or more than one detention basin. It could include increasing the size of the pipe that goes from Jackson toward Longtree. It could include a new pipe that goes along Jackson Drive to the Cook County sewer system in Hintz Road. There's a variety of different ways that improvements could be made, and all of those require extensive engineering as well as expensive engineering design and construction projects.
Well, there's a detention pond back there. Unfortunately, it's not really for Jackson Drive. It's for everything north of there. Would there most likely be another lot taken up or two or so for maybe a larger detention pond back in that area?
It's definitely, that's part of previous alternatives that have been brought to the village. For instance, buying property along Jackson Drive along the west side and creating another basin just like the one that you're talking about, which is actually Buffalo Groves Basin. But again, that takes, you're talking about digging a hole, and you're talking about a lot of soil, and you're talking about where that water is going to go after it fills up that basin, pumping, lift stations possibly, additional piping. I mean, it's very involved and very complicated.
So as opposed to this 36.7 that we're looking at right now for resurfacing and a few other inquiries, you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars for a full-blown study.
Yes. The reason why this contract is before you is that this is part of the CAP project for next year. Instead of just resurfacing Jackson Drive and maybe, putting good money when we should be doing something different at Jackson, such as raising it, we thought we would bring this project, this proposal to you because we thought that just resurfacing Jackson wouldn't be really just solving the problem. We can resurface Jackson, make it smooth, but we thought that if we were going to be doing that, we should look at some alternatives for changing the profile. If the board is not interested in changing the profile of Jackson, then we might not even need very much engineering at all to just resurface the road itself.
Sure.
Do some soil borings, take off 4 or 5 inches and lay it down. So this was done because staff felt that since Jackson is an important location due to the flooding, we thought we would go a little bit farther on this particular case and do this. That's why this is before you. It was our concern for one of the 3 roads that really gets a lot of water during a flood event.
Okay. And then last question, if we really get into that Jackson Drive and solve that, or work to solve that problem, how long out is a project like that? I mean, that's several years away.
Well, that's really up to the board and where the board thinks that they want to spend their money, because you can spend a lot of money in engineering and it's substantial. You can talk to the manager. This is a very expensive project to undertake to solve the water problem over in that area.
Trustee Vogel?
Just a couple of questions. One, if you eliminate this, as I call it, step 1, and go ahead and repave without the engineering study, what's that cost? What do we have?
It would be similar to any other road that we'd be resurfacing for next year. If we're not going to be doing reconstruction, we'll do soil borings, see what the base is like. The base is relatively solid, and there's a good amount of gravel there, and it looks like it's sand and stone. If it looks like it's going to hold up, we would just take off the 4 or 5 inches of asphalt and lay down 4 or 5 inches of asphalt and be done with it.
A couple $100,000 or?
It's 2,600 feet long. I believe would probably be $250,000, $300,000.
$300,000? Okay. And the $36,000 we're spending, we're eventually going to have to spend that anyway. We're eventually going to have to do that surveying and look at the...
That's correct. We will have to do that, and we will have to come up with alternatives for Jackson Drive. No matter what the solution is relative to detention, compensatory storage, wherever it is on Jackson Drive, or in the Jackson Drive area, the roadway itself will have to be profiled. We will have to get detailed surveying of where the houses are and how high they are relative to the roadway. There's no question about that.
Somebody said by the time we get to that, the topography could have changed. Is that true? I mean, does it change that much? In 3 years from now, is that study going to be useless if we did it today?
Absolutely not. Doing this survey now will be, the topography matter does not change that. It does not change. No.
Okay. All right. And if we do nothing, we're just going to, the road's going to deteriorate even further. And we're going to start losing the base. I mean, if we have enough flooding, who knows if we are or aren't. But if we have a couple more floods like that, is it going to start taking the base away?
The base seems to be holding out relatively well. Just the paving itself gets affected by water. Water gets underneath it. Freeze thaw, it becomes an issue.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Trustee Heine had another question.
Thank you. In the letter that the engineers proposed, one of the paragraphs that bothers me the most is it says, please note that some of the design alternates could cause stormwater management issues that could affect the vicinity watershed study that was prepared for the area. For example, if the road profile was raised significantly, it would cause a potential increase in vicinity flooding elevations due to proposed unmitigated fill within the base flood area. So what I'm concerned about is that we're hiring somebody to do some studies for us, and they're going to come back and say, these are your alternates, okay? But 2 of these alternates are going to cause adverse flooding in the area. We know what floods now. We've had a partial study of the area. We should be working in concert with these studies that we've done in the past to make sure that they all work together. I believe we had a couple of studies done in the area. To me, we're not looking at the big picture at one time. The road has to be done, but the most important thing in the Jackson Drive area is to get that flooding out of there. Whether the road stays there the way it is, or if it doesn't, let's not add to the issues, okay? And I don't want to come back a year from now and say that it's going to cost us an extra $250,000 or $1 million or whatever. To me, it makes no sense to do it this way. That's my own opinion.
Please note that a little less than half the amount of this contract is for final engineering. If they do the studies and they do the topography and you guys don't like any of the alternates, $15,600 of this is final engineering. So just as a note, I'm not sure, this is not just for alternatives and just for topo, this is for final engineering as well. So if they do the alternates and you guys don't like them and you want to just have the road just resurfaced, it will not be a $36,000 contract. Just want to make that point.
Let me clarify one thing, and I think I haven't heard it maybe around the way you've done it, said it, but just a couple things. Since we've annexed that area into the village, what inventory list do we have regarding culverts or any type of surveying there regarding the foundations of the building with the street and anything? Do we have anything right now on the books that we know it's there based on all the studies that we've done? And we've talked Christopher Burke and Manhart and all these guys that come in here and try to give us solutions regarding stormwater management over there and where to store the water, where the water goes. We know where the water's going. We see it. And we know, you know what, if we pick up property and build big ponds all over the place, sure, that's a solution. But the bottom line on Jackson Drive, is there an inventory or a list of where culverts are or the things that these guys are proposing here? And I think that's been missed tonight. Part of this engineering design is alternatives to evaluate the pavement, future water main, drainage ditch system, storm sewers, culverts, and the top of building foundations. So it gives the village flexibility in implementing potential improvements. So my question to you and Mr. Stavros Do we have any of that stuff on the books right now? And do we know what's there in that region? Yes or no?
We have a extensive map of the area, of the underground utilities as far as existing. That's tiles that have been put in 1912, and we have them all located. And we have TV'd them, we have over the years root cut them, opened them up.
Okay.
And we have an extensive mapping of the infrastructure that we put in when we put the 24-inch in out of Lakeside. It runs over to Schoenbeck Road. As far as the culvert pipes, we do not have inventory on the different sizes or the inverts of them.
So this study would help us get those things that we need for anything in the future that we try to do to improve that site, whether it be stormwater management or the street or anything else. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Just want to make that clear because it's on your memo here. And I'm not hearing any of that stuff, and it didn't sound like we had any of that stuff in the last 10, 11 years since we've annexed it in. I mean, we've had a meeting there recently, and I think it was a learning experience that some of our engineers and staff were told by residents there, do you know there's a culvert there? You know there's this there? And we all kind of looked at each other, really? Or do you know this is busted up over here, or it doesn't work over? Well, you were there, John, and I think it was an enlightening thing that we had the community involved with it, and the neighbors helping us out to try to come up with some solutions and possibly do a good inventory of what that site is like. You can do all the stormwater you want to do, but you got to come up with a plan and have an inventory of what you have there right now. And I think that's the problem. Trustee Brady?
Yeah, well, I was going to say, this would be step one of inevitably getting to the solution of the problem there. You know, depending on where Jackson Drive ends up on the priority list of projects, when the time comes to really start spending some serious money on our flooding issues, is one thing. And do we pave the road now and wait? Because if it takes 2.5 years to get a little 2-lane bridge put in, what's it going to take the engineer to fix over there? You know, and there's as Mark said, there's probably about 3 or 4 different alternates of how to solve that problem until we get serious with an engineering firm to say what would be the most economical way to do this. You know, raising and lowering the road could be dangerous because, you know, the whole thing might change.
Right.
At some time.
Right. Okay. Anything else?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by trustee Lang, second by trustee Vogel. Roll call.
Trustee Brady?
No.
Trustee Here?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Hein?
No.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
President Argyris?
I'm going to go yes. But I'm going to tell you something, Mr. Janik. Mr. Hager's been through this town in the last years, and I'm very disappointed by the complaints that we've been getting on projects that he's in charge of. I would hope that he has good communication with the residents there. Donhurst has been a nightmare. Garbage pickup's been a nightmare. Communication with the residents where to park has been a nightmare. So put it as a warning to Mr. Hager and their firm. It's been very disappointing, in my opinion. So let's have good communication on Jackson Drive regarding any surveying they're doing, any access to property they're going on, and what they're doing over there. Thank you. 13E.
Resolution authorizing change order number 1 to the construction contract for the 2013 motor fuel tax street improvement program with Brothers Asphalt Paving Incorporated.
Thank you, Mr. Janik.
This is a request for a change order relative to a project at Shadow Bend. This change order reflects conditions of the base and the sub-base that were unforeseen at the time that we started the project. At one time, we were going to do a full reconstruction of Shadow Bend. After we did soil borings, it appeared that we might be able to get away with not doing a full reconstruction, and we felt confident that the sub-base might be able to be kept. We started the project. The cul-de-sacs went relatively well. We didn't have any problem with the sub-base. Once we took the asphalt off the main drive, we found problems with the base and the sub-base. This $477,000 reflects needed removal and replacement of the base, as well as much as 2 feet of the sub-base below the base.
Thank you. Questions?
2 feet. Motion to approve.
Motion by trustee, question, trustee Hein?
Thank you. Explain to me and the entire board, we're adding $477,000 to a $1,752,000 contract. And they're discussing a base material. Tell me about this base material that we're removing.
The base material is called a pozzolanic base. It was a base material that was created instead of regular, what we call sand and gravel, CA6. This base material was used extensively in the 1980s. The village had consultants that proposed and suggested this base material, and at the time, it was felt that this base material, somewhat like concrete, as a base material, where it was the chemical elements of it would bind together and form a base that was stronger and with longer lasting than regular stone. As the years went by, it turned out that this base material, this pozzolanic base material, was prone to failure in a lot of different locations, and it was not very trustworthy. In this particular case, in Wheeling, for instance, pozzolanic base has been used in numerous locations. We don't know all those locations. When we do soil borings, it will appear. In this particular project, it did appear. We knew there was pozzolanic base here. The soil borings, though, indicated relatively solid integrity of the base. And we felt that we might be able to get away with not taking the pozzolanic base out. Once we took we did the cul-de-sacs, and we took the pozzolanic base out there because those soil borings were not very good and the paving wasn't good. The sub-base was fine. Once we got to the main road and we took the asphalt out, cars started driving on on the base, and it failed. We then had to realize we had to take the base out, the pozzolanic base out. Once we took that out, the sub-base itself was not sufficient for the soil bearings. And our soil consultant told us that we need to take the sub-base out as well. That's the story.
Well, I'm trying to get educated here a little bit about this base. It's been there since Shadow Bend was built.
That's correct.
And it seemed like it held up pretty darn good. According to what I've read here, it's after you actually started to remove it, or you got down to that base, it started to break up on you. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. How much of that stuff do we have in this village?
Like I said, we know some locations where it's at, but we don't know all the locations where it's at. At least I don't believe Public Works does. I know our engineering department doesn't know. When we take soil borings, we find out. This particular roadway was holding together relatively well. There weren't big potholes in it. It wasn't failing really badly. There was alligatoring in the roadway. So for some reason, it was holding together as it was originally placed. When we exposed it, it fell apart.
The contractor that we have doing that job over there, is he well versed in this type of a material and he knows how to handle it? It seems like this material has been used quite readily throughout the whole area and is still being used in some areas of the state of Illinois. The state of Illinois did an extensive study in 2006 on this material, and they really didn't come up with a definitive answer as far as this thing being good or not. And I understand that there's different types of this material depending on how they mix it.
That's correct. That's exactly right.
Is this a bituminous type, or is this an ash type, or?
It's not bituminous. It's you probably didn't see it at Shadow Bend, but it's after years and years of being under asphalt, it can turn into almost a dust-like consistency.
Thank you. What I'm afraid of is that a lot of the PUDs that were approved back in the 70s and 60s and early 80s, we probably used a lot of this material. Okay, I'm just wondering how much of this we're going to run into when we start doing some of these streets. You know, I think we're going to have to be very careful on how we approach these streets. Man, I guess we went down too far, didn't we?
Well, I don't think we went down too far. It's just that we felt that the soil borings indicated we could go down and take all the asphalt off, which was our intention. But we will have to be extremely careful in the future. We're trying to spread our money out on as many roads as possible. And we've just realized, especially with this change order, we cannot reconstruct all the streets that we try to repave.
Mr. Stavros?
Back in the mid-'70s, when Pozzolanic was first introduced, it is it's a granular material, fractured stone with fines and fly ash, and it's mixed at a plant, and it comes out and it's laid out. And originally it was to be laid out as it was designed in paver boxes. These contractors would bring this stuff out and just tailgate dump it, and then they would windroll it back and forth with a grater, and they would separate it from fly ash to the fines. And there was all kinds of failures on the material as the years started to go on. We were still using it, and they came up with different options of secured to saw cut the joints, tar them, etc. It just didn't work. But the bottom line is that when the developers came in, the engineering plans, there was 3 options normally on their cross sections on their pavement, and they could have put stone, full depth stone, could have put binder, bituminous binder, or paz, and every one of those was a different depth because there was a different structural number to them. And paz had a high structural number at the time, therefore they didn't have to cut as much base material out, sub-base material out. So excavation wasn't as deep, saved the developer money. Unfortunately, the engineers, when they did the as-built drawings, didn't reflect on what was used out in the project as far as the material for the roadways went. So we think we have a handle on it, but we don't know for sure every project that has it. Some of them did fail immediately, and they took it back out and they replaced it with rock. So.
Thank you.
Trustee Brady, you had something?
One question. That stuff was a product of the deep tunnel, wasn't it? That stuff they were pulling out of the deep tunnel? Had a lot of fines in it and broken concrete?
No, it was a sandstone. It came out of the Algonquin. It came from the western pits.
Tony, this isn't the first time we ran into this. If I'm not mistaken, when we ran into it before, the same thing had to happen, didn't it?
Well, last time we had we knew we had paz on Lexington Drive, and that's why Lexington was put off as long as it was, because we knew that was a full replacement out there. We had paz out at the Longtree area, and we were doing fairly well out there, and we had flooding rains out there after the contractor had exposed it. And once it was exposed to the flood, it had to be completely removed, and the sub-base had to be dried out. Paz is a very touchy base material. There's some municipalities that have recycled it in place, came in, ground it up, re-rolled it. But again, you take a chance on doing that, and you get it like we had this weekend with an inch of rain on top of it, and it's all got to come out. Arlington was recycling a lot of theirs in place. I believe they've opted to take it out now. It's an expensive proposition any way you look at it. You can't, if it'll hold up to the construction traffic on top of it, then you can pave over it. Unfortunately, in Shadow Bend, it didn't happen.
So moved.
I just got one question, and I'll accept your motion. Who engineered this street? Was it done in-house?
No, Hager Engineering did.
Hager. But I would ask in the near future, based on what I've heard you say tonight, that we get some type of historic data from our engineers. I know engineers love to engineer, but there's a history behind everything. So anytime we see anything like this again, Mr. Janik, Mr. Stavros, Manager Svandilis, I'd like to see some historic data. How it was built in the 70s, what we think might be there, and share that information with our engineer. Because that's very disturbing. It came out of your mouth a few minutes ago. Well, Public Works might know because they got historic data, but the engineers wouldn't know. I would think that we all work together here. There's a $477,000 change order. Motion by Trustee Brady, second by? Second by?
Second.
Trustee Hine, roll call.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Hare?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Hine?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
President Argyros?
Yes. F, Madam Clerk.
Resolution approving recertification for the community rating system.
Director Janik.
This is a request that the village allow recertification of the village as a Class 7 under the CRS program.
Thank you. Questions? Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Vogel,
Second?
second by Trustee Krueger. Roll call, please.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Hare?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Hine?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
President Argyros?
Yes, thank you. 13G.
Ordinance amending the comprehensive plan of the Village of Wheeling, Chapter 3, Land Use and Natural Resources, Milwaukee Avenue, Planning Subarea to incorporate the 2013 Industrial Lane Redevelopment Plan.
Thank you. Director Janik.
This is a request for the village board to approve the industrial lane plan for the comprehensive plan. The Teska Associates has been before the board as well as the Plan Commission numerous times relative to the changes, and they're here tonight for the final approval.
Thank you. Want to come forward? Please state your name, please.
My name is Todd Van Adelack. I'm a senior planner with Teska Associates in Evanston, Illinois.
Thanks, Todd. Questions from the board? Entertain a motion?
Just one quick, so nothing else has changed from what we've talked about 2 months ago. We're just finalizing.
We met with the Plan Commission in mid-August, and I can review some of the changes that they had recommended. Actually, I could probably jump to them real quick on your screens, or on your screen. I think it's slide 6.
Yeah, go with the following conditions. Here we go.
So the Plan Commission, we had met with them on mid-August. So they went through the report, and then the 6 main suggestions were, the first one was to just provide a more condensed executive summary up front so that if someone was only reading the first couple pages, they got the meat of the plan up front. Number 2 was add an item to explore a zoning overlay district for the area, add that to the implementation plan. Number 3 was to clarify just how we got to option C. At the beginning, when we met with village staff, we had 5 alternatives total, and then we whittled it down to 3. And then when we met with you in July, we went down to option C. So we had to just show a little more clarification of how we got to that process in terms of going from 5 options down to 1. Number 4 was provide greater detail on the nature of the proposed roadway improvements. The engineer on this project, Gaywalt Hamilton, had provided us with that, and we provided that in the report. Number 5 was to verify the non-property tax revenue calculations. In addition to the property tax revenues that you get from your TIF, there are other taxes that you would accrue through redevelopment or development such as sales tax, the motor fuel tax, and so on. And then number 6 was to update option C. At one time, prior to meeting with the Plan Commission, there wasn't a north-south connection connecting, Industrial Lane to Sumac Road. We included a dashed line to show a potential connection. We didn't study it in terms of figuring out, because in option C, a lot of the existing property owners would remain, such as the SET, the storage unit, waste management, and so on. So you would have to, if a north-south connector road would come in, you would have to work with those property owners to figure out how that would work. And then figure out in a few, we don't have a map in this particular presentation, but another thing that we added was that a lot of the properties existing, like waste management and SET, their property lines are jagged. They're not particularly square, rectangular. So at the very beginning of the process, we actually worked or spoke with waste management, and they had professed that they would be interested, or they would entertain potential to square off their properties if the situation was right. So we added that also to the final report.
And this is more for staff. When will we see phase 1 enforcement take place on this?
I can answer. Pretty immediately, we plan to start authoring the notifications and start publicizing the idea and getting the code issues settled first. So we plan to get on that.
Okay. And we have a plan to go to John for relocation for some of those businesses as well.
That will, yeah, absolutely.
And good. Okay. So
Any other, Trustee Vogel?
Quick question. Can you flip back to that last slide, the 6 points?
Sure.
Was there a change to 5?
There was not. We verified the tax revenue calculations. There was a question as to why they were so different when it looked like, just on paper, that the developments looked like they had a similar amounts of development. But when you actually look at it there and look through the calculations, there's just different levels of retail development depending on each of the 3 options, A, B, and C. So we went back and verified.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's all.
Anybody else? Entertain a motion?
So moved.
Motion by
Second.
Trustee Lang, second by Trustee Vogel. Roll call, please.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Heer?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Hein?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
President Argyros?
Yes, and good job, Plan Commission, on this. Thank you, and thank you.
You're welcome.
Very
Thanks for your
good.
time.
13H.
Ordinance authorizing a First Amendment to the redevelopment agreement between the Village of Wheeling and International Aviation Partners, LLC, in regard to the International Aviation Partners, LLC development compromising a part of the southeast TIF district of the Village of Wheeling, Illinois.
Thank you. Director Melanthropy?
Thank you, President Argyros. As you know, the village is in the process of resetting the southeast TIF district, and there was a redevelopment in place with International Aviation Partners. And due to the reset of the TIF, a First Amendment to the redevelopment agreement is before the board tonight, basically just because the TIF is being reset. The agreement was adopted by ordinance, approved on June 21st, 2010.
Thank you. Questions?
You're welcome.
I just have one. When it's edited, will it be posted to the website? When the comprehensive plan is edited accordingly, right? Isn't that what this is?
This is a TIF. This is a redevelopment agreement related to the southeast TIF.
Never mind.
The question, though, is, I think to the prior item, when the comp plan is amended, it will be recorded. And
My mistake.
Right. Okay. Anything else? Anybody else? Entertain a motion. Trustee Hines, second by Trustee Heer. Roll call.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Heer?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Hein?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
President Argyros?
Yes. We're going to skip discussion with the fire department overview.
Any questions?
Any questions from the board?
Thank you.
Very good, nice presentation, Keith.
That was the best one in all the years.
It was the best. Those are nice pictures, too.
Thank you.
We have discussion this evening, Fire Department overview, presented by Chief McIsaac.
Before the chief starts, I'd just like to say that this is continuing our program of advertising our departments so that the board has an opportunity to hear a little bit of the inside operations on how our departments function, and perhaps more importantly, it gives the public an opportunity to hear what makes up each of our departments and perhaps answer a lot of questions that may have been lingering in the minds of the elected officials or the public. Again, these are obviously recorded. We'll be putting them on the website for future reference so that if anyone would ever like to know exactly what a particular department is doing, they can refer back to the link to these particular presentations. With that, Chief Keith McIsaac.
Thank you very much. I'll be moving rather quickly. This is strictly an overview this evening. If I could ask if you could hold your questions more to the end. I believe as we go through here quickly, I may be already answering some of the questions you may already have had. First of all, the fire department was formed in 1896, 2 years after the incorporation of the village. It's the oldest and longest continuously operating department within the village of Wheeling. When it started out, it started as a fire department strictly handling fires, and obviously over the 100-plus years that it's existed, it has evolved into a full-service emergency response business, covering a myriad of things, including, as shown here, our core services: public safety preparedness, disaster planning, fire and explosion emergency response, health and medical emergency responses, and fire prevention and safety inspectional services. And tonight I will be touching briefly on all of those areas. Going along with those core services, each area of the department falls into basically 5 areas. We use this from a budgeting tool every year. That includes our human resources, risk reduction programs, emergency dispatch, operational procedures, and mechanical resources. And those can break off in a myriad of areas, but it all goes into coming together as an entire department. As I mentioned, we are a full-service department providing much more than just fire suppression services. I won't read all these items, but as you can see, we are a multifaceted modern emergency services. When we use the word fire department, it's really a misnomer. Today we're really an emergency services and disaster preparedness organization. Fire department's comprised of 55 total personnel. 53 of those are full-time. We do have 2 part-time employees within the department. And as I go through here, you'll notice that when we basically put up an organizational chart, and I've color-coded this here to make it a little more clear, everybody who's in a yellow position here is somebody who's assigned to where they say the rubber meets the road. These are the people that are out answering the emergency calls within the community. The green positions that you see here are daytime staff, administrative and support personnel, and the 2 blue positions here indicate where our part-time personnel fit into the organization. There are 3 basic areas within the department. Administration and support personnel comprises the administration, the secretarial staff, and the training officer, for a total of 4.5 people running the day-to-day operations of the department. All of these personnel are typically working Monday through Friday and are on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The responsibilities that go into those positions include all of the administrative services associated with the department and are very typical to what you'll find in the other departments. Planning, personnel services, the finances, grant development, coordination of department training, and oversight of our secondary partner, Red Center. The Fire Prevention Bureau is comprised of 1.5 personnel, 1 full-time inspector and a half-time inspector. They're responsible for handling the inspectional services associated with fire and life safety codes. They are on call 24/7, and their work hours are Monday through Friday. And as indicated here, their responsibilities include everything from life safety codes, serving as agents of the State Fire Marshal's Office when it comes to schools and institutional facilities, handling resident complaints, OSHA complaints, as well as doing plan reviews associated with those things that impact the fire department, fire sprinkler systems, alarm systems, building construction, and situations such as site access with PUDs and things of that nature. They also assist our industrial community, and they provide some fire and explosion origin and cause investigation services. Just a graphic indicating the overview of the Fire Prevention Bureau. Basically, right now, about 50% of their time, inspectional services are spent performing fire inspections and re-inspections. They also perform business license inspections, and they actually do construction reviews and site reviews, and everything involved up there as well. I also put in front of you today, one of the things we've tried to do is increase the number of inspections that the Fire Prevention Bureau can accomplish. And back in May, we implemented a self-inspection program for our light hazard industry here in town that are going to add approximately 300 plus inspections this year. We're in the early stages of seeing that information coming in, but so far the results have been positive and well received by our business community. The bulk of our personnel fall into shift personnel. There's 16 per shift, 13 are on duty at any one particular time. They work a 24 on, 48-hour shift. They start at 7 a.m. They go home at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. And one of the things that sometimes gets forgotten in our operations is the fact that all of our personnel are cross-trained. They're not just firefighters, they're not just paramedics, they're both. In addition to that, they receive advanced training in hazardous materials response, aircraft firefighting, and rescue because of our relationship with Chicago Executive Airport. They also are there to provide assistance to specialized response areas, both vertical and trench, vertical being rescuing people from high elevations, window washers, people on water towers, and the ComEd right-of-way high voltage lines. We do have a river, and as we've talked here this evening, we do have some interesting flooding scenarios, and our people are set up to handle immediate response to open water and swift water and ice rescue situations. As well as vehicle and machinery extrication. We have a large industrial base, and unfortunately we do occasionally get personnel trapped in machinery. And with the highway system we have here, we do from time to time have to perform mechanical extrication from vehicles. In addition to everyone being cross-trained, we have several personnel that have gone on to even get more advanced training and to serve on regional teams. We have 6 hazardous materials specialists who are trained into how to handle response wearing fancy entry suits, rubber suits. You've seen those chemical suits probably before. They're trained in handling biological agents as well as weapons mass response, and are members of our Lake County hazmat team. We have 9 people that are technical rescue trained. They're designed to do everything from collapsed structures to explosion debris, rescue and recovery at situations like earthquakes and tornado damage. And our personnel here on the 9 members are also members of the state's what's known as the Urban Search and Rescue Team, or USAR. They are deployable throughout the state as well. And we have 6 underwater rescue recovery divers that are designed to go in and actually do extensive dives, both swift water, confined space, and ice, and also respond regionally as part of the MABUS Division 1 response team. We also have 7 individuals who are trained as fire and arson investigators, and are in accordance with state statute, every fire in the village of Wheeling is investigated. We also have 9 who have gone on to become public education specialists, many of them bilingual, and they provide a myriad of programs that are taught both in our schools and through various community groups, including the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, and different programs in the churches and temples. Shift personnel spend about 14 out of those 24 hours of the day working. They don't just wait for emergency calls. They're also handling everything from vehicle maintenance, station maintenance, housekeeping, training, pre-planning. We'll talk about a little more of these items later on. But if you were to look at this as a 24-hour clock, approximately 14 out of every 24 hours, they are spent actively involved in some function within the village, and the remainder of that time is called ready status. They do prepare their 3 meals a day at the fire station, and between calls at night, they are allowed to go to sleep. We operate 3 fire stations in the village, the main station being Milwaukee Avenue. At that station, we house a ladder truck, an ambulance, and a shift commander. We have Station 23 over in the industrial park at 780 South Wheeling Road at Wheeling and Hintz with an engine company and an ambulance company. And right here connected to the police department at the old Village Hall site at One Community Boulevard, we have an engine company there. Because of the complexities of calls we encounter, this shows you graphically some of the vehicles that we have, but more importantly shows you that throughout the day our personnel can be called upon to jump between various vehicles depending upon the nature of the call. The top being a crew jumping to a crash truck. We do operate to respond to the airport and with aircraft calls. And we have an ambulance crew that jumps to a ladder truck, a mobile ventilation unit, which is a MABUS asset, and I'll talk about MABUS in a little bit, a secondary crash truck, which is Squad 42, and our dive response vehicle. One of the questions that comes up is how has the economy affected us? And since 2008, the fire department has gone through a reduction of 11 positions. 6 of those were firefighter paramedic positions that were lost through attrition, 3 that had been authorized and not filled, and 2 full-time positions in the Fire Prevention Bureau. As a result, we've gone through some reorganizations to meet the challenges, and tonight my demonstration to you of the self-inspection program is such a reorganizational program to maximize our personnel. Total emergency calls in 2012 was 4,354. And graphically, what you can see here is that basically 75 to 80% of our calls are 63% of our calls are emergency medical based, and the other 37% of our calls are fire related. When you look at the last 10 years and where we're going, you'll notice that the calls continue to climb. Some of that is through the growth within the community, some of that is due to the economic makeup of the community, and some of that is actually a result of the downturn in the economy and the loss of some people having the ability to easy access to medical care. Sometimes they wait too late and we end up being called for medical calls. If we look at where we're going as of August 31st of this year, we're anticipating ending the year at about 4,472 calls. On average, we see an annual growth of about 110 calls a year for service, or an increase of about 2.5% per year. When it comes to emergency medical calls, 77% of our calls are what are known as advanced life support calls, 23% of them basic life support. This is rather unique, and I'll show you some data in a moment. Most communities, the distribution's the other way around, BLS being larger, ALS being less. Some of that has to do with our population, complexity of our calls, things of that nature. This is a breakdown of some of the areas where people call and get medical attention here in the community. The largest one in the middle of the graph is general illness and other, people calling because they don't feel good and the likes. But if you notice here, there's a lot of categories that fit into stroke, heart attack, chest pains, psychiatric disorders, things of that nature. Poisonings, respiratory distress. That's where we get into the advanced life support situation, where these can turn quickly or are life-threatening situations. As I mentioned, a lot of this has to do with the age of our patients. This is a breakdown of our patients in the 2012 year. One of the things I want to point out to you is that 58.5% of our patients are over the age of 60. This is why, if you look at that past graph, you'll notice a lot of the cardiac issues, the respiratory distress, the strokes, a lot of our more serious slip, trip, and falls, fractured hips, things of that nature fit into that particular category. We transport predominantly to Northwest Community Hospital and Glenbrook Hospital. They are our closest comprehensive care hospitals. but occasionally we do transport to other hospitals. Some of that because of responding on mutual aid calls for requests, others because they're more advanced or serious. The more advanced or serious calls go to Lutheran General or Condell, which are our 2 level 1 trauma centers. Basically, if you're north of Hintz Road, the likelihood of a severe trauma is going to go to Condell, and south of Hintz Road, you're going to go to Lutheran General. The rest of these, Highland Park, Good Shepherd, Lexington Brothers, places like that, are predominantly because of mutual aid calls. A lot of questions come up about vehicles on a call. For basic life support calls, we send a single ambulance with 2 paramedics. And basically what happens is those 2 paramedics deal with the patient. Basic life support could be something as simple as somebody being ill for some period of time with no other critical incident going on. Could be a very minor call, slip, trip, or fall, a child who's caught a finger in a door or something like this. For an advanced life support call, we commonly send a fire engine and an ambulance, and one of the reasons we do this is because there's a lot more to do when you get into an advanced life support call. And what I've tried to highlight here is the 5 positions and showing you that everybody has a function to do, ranging from getting medical history from the family and working with the emotional state of the family, to talking to the hospital, administering medications, setting up things like a cardiac defibrillator monitor to monitor heart rate, to bringing additional equipment into the house. One of the advantages of this model is because everybody's cross-trained, everybody can perform multiple functions, and if they're not needed, the fire engine can be released from the scene and go back to another call. All of our fire engines do carry paramedic equipment. They can basically do all the functions that an ambulance can, except they can't transport. So the advantage of that is they can respond to another call while the ambulance is tied up. They may get to the call first while ambulances are coming back from the hospital. And more importantly, we can quickly treat people that are in serious condition, shorten the treatment time, and accelerate the transport to the hospital. This plays out much more critical in a cardiac event or a stroke or something like that. Types of fires, this is pretty well plateaued. We average about 90 fires a year in the village of Wheeling. 51% of them last year involved structures. The rest involved vehicles and outside fires such as dumpsters, landscaping, things of that nature. This is a rather interesting graph. This is fire loss over the last 10 years. We project this year at the rate we're going to be somewhere around 398,000 in loss. One of the things that I'm very proud about this is twofold. It's a strong indication of the ability of our personnel, rapid response, aggressive firefighting, getting in and minimizing loss quick and fast. The second issue is this is an indication of our fire prevention efforts and our public education efforts. One of the things that we've noticed is by carrying public education over the last 30 years here in the community, a lot of people who have gone through the school programs eventually grow up. They stay in town, they live in town, their children go to the same programs. And one of the things that we've seen a dramatic decrease in over the last 20 years is juvenile fire setting issues. So this graph kind of confirms the combination of all of those. Add to that very good building codes, very good building inspections, construction, and the results are shown right here. When we go to a potential fire, one of the things we need is a minimum to function pretty effectively is a minimum of 13 to start. I won't go through all the positions here, but much like an ambulance call, everybody has a function to do on a fire scene to getting this quickly contained and controlled. And as something escalates, we can call in mutual aid from around here. So this is basically our first response, the example I've kind of shown you here visually, what you might expect at a single family home or a single apartment here in town, or a small fire in an industrial setting. Again, when events get larger, we have what's known as the mutual aid box alarm system, or MABUS. It's a phrase that we've used several times, and you on the board are aware their main headquarters is here in the community. This is a system that was started in 1972. I'm very proud to say that Wheeling was one of the founding fathers of MABUS. Today that has grown from a regionally based system to now a national model that has grown to cover all of the state of Illinois, eastern Iowa, southern Wisconsin, and northeastern Indiana. This is a system that basically through quick activation of a shared radio network throughout the state, we can immediately summon predetermined help. That really pays off when you experience something like a tornado or something of a large magnitude that really taxes the resources beyond our single capabilities. Everything in the community is in a predetermined response. This is an example of what's known as a fire card. It shows you who's dispatched on the initial response. It's a still, a code 4 is a minor upgrade, which brings us in predetermined responses from our neighbors. And we can go all the way down to the bottom, which is known as an interdivisional response. And those are divisions or regions within the state that we can actually call additional resources. All of this is seamless. All of this is mutually agreed upon. The same applies to every community around us. That's why we go and assist them, and mutually they come and assist us. And we do the same thing with ambulances. This is an example of an ambulance card for Grid 23, and it shows you where we can get additional resources, extra managerial support, as well as specialized equipment that might be needed. Things as a decontamination vehicle, a mass casualty trailer that can bring out bulk supplies for something like if we had a train derailment or something of that nature, or a major plane crash that involved a lot of victims. We also do pre-planning to prepare for any events that may happen within our community, and it's a systematic approach throughout our community that we've taken to prepare and come up with pre-incident plans. They're updated on a regular basis, and right now approximately 500 major businesses, corporations, and multifamily buildings within our community have been pre-planned, and this gives you an example of what a pre-plan looks like. This is 100 Deborah. It shows you the configuration of the building, some of the key features, as well as the anticipated water demands and fire response plans should we have a major incident inside this building. We have these on multifamily, we have these on industrial buildings, we have these on all the schools as well. Which brings me to where do our calls happen? The number one place that calls happen in our community are residential. The rest of them, as you can see, are spread out. Public assembly and educational being two large areas. These are our churches, temples, and things of this nature, as well as our schools. Institutional being our nursing homes, and of course our manufacturing facilities as well. Calls happen on a bell curve. We have a peak period of time that runs from about 8 in the morning until about 8 at night, a 12-hour period where our calls peak, and at night they drop off. Unfortunately, most of our more serious calls our volume is up during the day, but our more serious calls happen after midnight, where things go initially unnoticed or involve high-speed incidents on the roadway. Days of the week, this is always an interesting one. People tend to think that it would be pretty steady. This is pretty historic. Tuesdays, for some reason, seem to be the day that most people call the fire department. The rest of the time, it's relatively flatline. When you call the fire department, you originally get the Wheeling Police Department, which then transfers you to the Regional Emergency Dispatch Center, or RED Center. It was created in 1977 to handle fire and emergency medical calls. Last year, it handled over 37,000 calls for fire and emergency medical for 14 fire departments that cover 100 square miles and more than 300,000 residents. Very shortly, matter of fact, this Wednesday, the Board of Directors for RED Center will be meeting, and we are in the process of potentially bringing the City of Des Plaines and the Village of Park Ridge into RED Center, who will be joining and becoming Fire Departments 15 and 16 in that joint venture. How fast does it take the fire department to get to where you are? Our average response time from the time we're dispatched to on the scene is a little over 5 minutes. When you look at the right-hand side, I do have to caution you, when you see 8, 9, 10, and greater than 10 minutes, unfortunately our data also tracks when we go mutual aid to other communities. And so when we have to go to like Lake Zurich or we go to Barrington, places like this, for mutual aid for extra alarm fires or incidents, you're going to see response times in the 12, 15, 18-minute range. Again, for our total here, we're 5 minutes or less, and I would throw you to the bottom side of the curve. We're relatively under 5 minutes for most areas in the community. Several years ago, we did an analysis. This is a visual graphic representation of where the 3 stations are in the overlap. I know for some of you, when we looked at building the main headquarters station out on Milwaukee Avenue, this was discussed heavily. And obviously, the long-term plan in the planning documents is to relocate Station 42 at some time further to the northwest side of town, and that addresses the issue you can see there. We operate a variety of apparatus ranging from fire engines or pumper trucks to ladder tower truck, crash truck squads, and ambulances. The bottom line here is they have a value of well over $4 million. And we've talked about that a number of times through SURF, the Capital Improvement Replacement Fund. All of our vehicles are tracked by Fleet Services. We work very close with Fleet Services, and they've done a phenomenal job. But this gives you a visual representation of the average age of those vehicles by category and their anticipated or projected service life. To kind of wrap things up, one of the things that I always mention to people is I can stand up here and I can tell you all wonderful and great things about the fire department. The firemen would be more than proud to do that as well. I would be remiss to say it, to not say it, I should say, that I really feel honored to have a department as great as we have. I think the Village of Wheeling is very fortunate. We have some of the best trained people out there and dedicated people. But it's easy to say that when you're the chief of the department and you're an employee. So what happens here is there is an outside third-party agency that does come in and evaluate fire departments, and they do it every 6 to 10 years. And it's called ISO. It's called the Insurance Services Organization. And they do an independent evaluation of all the fire departments in the United States. And they look at 3 main categories. They look at our dispatching capabilities and our ability to quickly receive information, gel that information, and get the right resources dispatched to the call. They look at the fire department, how it's staffed, how it's organized, how efficient it is. They look at everything from training, our communications capabilities, right down to the type of equipment we carry on our vehicles. And they look at our water system, and this is a credit to our Public Works Department. They look at the reliability of our water system. How much water can it deliver? How reliable are our fire hydrants? What's our maintenance programs? How, in the event of an emergency, will the system work as needed? They rank eventually all fire departments in the United States as 1 being the best, 10 being the worst. And when you look at, in 2010, this is how all the fire departments in the United States broke out by ISO. There's 48,324 fire departments that are evaluated. And Wheeling is a Class 3. According to ISO, that puts us in the top 5% of the United States organizations for fire service. And I think that in itself, being an independent third-party agency, kind of shows that a lot of the decisions made by this board over many, many years, and a lot of the efforts that have gone into the fire department through its staff have paid off. In the last 25 years, we've gone from a Class 6 all the way on the right side of this graph to a Class 3. So, in closing, I just want to say thank you for your time and your patience this evening, and I'll entertain any questions you might have.
Manager Spondelis has something.
If I may, either to illustrate the ISO rating or to just demonstrate how long you've been talking, there were 2 calls since the chief started his presentation, one for a pedestrian hit right here on Dundee Road and another for an active fire in Cedar Run. So just to show how those graphs relate to real life, we've had 2 major incidents since the chief started talking this evening.
Thank you.
Questions?
Just a real quick question. On our dais, you put this checklist?
Yes, sir.
Does this get mailed to the businesses, or where can they get a hold of this? Is it online?
Actually, it's mailed to the businesses with the flyer that you have in front of you.
Okay.
In the real world, the real form is a multi-part form, but I didn't want to waste that, so I just made a Xerox copy for you this evening. But it's a multi-part form that the business fills out. They mail back the top copy to us, and they retain the bottom one for their records and for if they have to show their insurance company that they've done some kind of safety inspection.
Great. It's a great tool. Thank you.
Anything else?
Excellent presentation.
Thank you very much.
Very good.
Thanks. Thanks, Chief. Official communication, Trustee Hine, anything?
Nothing this evening.
Trustee Brady?
Everything's all right.
Trustee Lang?
Thanks. I was disappointed this weekend, Friday night especially, trying to go to some of our restaurants over by the Westin, and they were booked, and they were packed. And they were packed with all the golfers. It was awesome to see that so many people came in and ate at our restaurant, stayed at our hotel from the golf outing at Conway Farms. It was really neat. So I'll step aside anytime from eating out on a Friday night to have these guys come into town.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Trustee Kruger?
Nope, nothing for me, thanks.
Trustee Vogel?
No, thank you.
Trustee Hare?
No, nothing.
Clerk Simpson?
I just want to remind everybody that we will be having tickets for the Wheeling Citizens Police Academy Alumni Association for the luau on Saturday, October 26th. If you'd like to stop at the Village Hall, when it's open, come up and see the deputy clerk, and she'll be happy to sell you a ticket.
Thank you. Manager Svandelis, you have something?
Thank you. Just to let the board and the public know that on September 18th and 19th, we will be lifting the 2-hour restriction on Willie and Center. The Fresh Farms development will be resealing and coating their parking lot. So in order to accommodate, we're going to release the 2-hour restriction. We'll be bagging the signs. It's only for 2 days. And again, it's so that the parking lot can get sealed and striped.
Thanks. I just have a couple of quick things. The intergovernmental agreement with us in the airport, and that, maybe we can bring that red line item in there for some discussion, workshop, something. Remind you of the dog code thing? Excuse me. I can't even. And again, you know, the more eyes we have out there in the public helping us with code enforcement or issues out there, please feel free to dial 459-CODE, C-O-D-E. It helps us. It's anonymous. I know you don't want to squeal on a neighbor or if you see something out there, but it really, again, it helps us. And the proper department will get access to, something that needs to be looked at, whether it be too many garage sales in a particular residential area or a particular home, or cracks in the sidewalk. I mean, just things like that. 459-CODE, and I would appreciate it. Excuse me. Approval of the bills for August 22nd, 2013 through September 11, 2013. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Trustee Lang, second by Trustee Vogel. Roll call, please.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Hare?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Hine?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
President Argyris?
Yes.
I see, I told you, I wasn't kidding.
Busy night. Entertain a motion to go into executive session
Same things I did.
to discuss pending, probable, or imminent litigation, the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employee or employee of the village. Entertain a motion to recess into executive session.
I'll move.
Trustee Hines, second by Trustee Hare. Roll call, please.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Hare?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Hine?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
President Argyris?
Yes, thank you. We'll go into executive session at 8:55. Good night, everyone.